tell us a little bit about you? I know that you are one hell of a great New Orleans piano player. What age did you start playing?
I started playing the piano when I was about 9 years old, and at that time I did what kids do. I learnt classical piano.
Okay.
And did
regular lessons?
Regular lessons, and I was quite good at it, I think, back at that time. And then I started to try and copy the school musicals we did, like Andrew Lloyd Webber musicals and stuff. And there would be like a little rock and roll moment in it, like ba-doom-ba-doom-ba-doom-ba-doom-ba-doom. And I just found myself, we know piano, and we know the world of piano, so we were talking about, your C, E, G chord and moving it along and making a kind of a blues thing out of it. And I was doing that about the age of 11, I suppose.
Okay.
And I started getting very deeply into jazz music after that as well. So I really opened up my musical head a lot.
In an early age like that?
Yeah, I just kind of enjoyed the sounds that I heard of it. And then an older boy at school, he must have recognized that I liked this stuff, and he started giving me Dave Brubeck records and Oscar Peterson records to listen to, and I was about 12.
Okay.
This was in the 80s, and all my friends were listening to Duran Duran.
Yeah.
And I liked it, but I also, related so much more to old music, and that's what I spent my time fooling around with. My mum says I used to come home from school and play the piano before I said hello to her. She was just in the kitchen somewhere, and I was just like, she'd hear this piano going, and it's like,
and when did the New Orleans bug bite you?
That bit, actually, the funny thing is I'd heard a bit when I was younger, but it really bit when I was already playing in blues bands around London with a guy called Errol Linton in his band, and his guitar player gave me a cassette, and it had Huey Piano Smith on it, it had Dr. John on it, the Dirty Dozen Brass Band, and Professor Longhair on it. And I just heard that piano on that record, and I was already age 22 at that time, I think.
Okay.
22 or maybe even, 22 or 23. And I just heard Professor Longhair playing piano on the Crawfish Fiesta album.
Yeah.
And Dr. John playing this, like, Big Mac, the song Big Mac, and Such a Night live. And I just loved the richness of that piano, and it kind of made me feel like I had to find out how to play like that.
Did you intend to make piano playing your profession, or did you learn a real job?
I definitely never learned any kind of real job. And I really couldn't. Any job I had was always a very casual job. It was never a professional kind of job. And I just was, I guess, quite sort of selfish. I just liked making music, and it made me happy. And I decided after a lot of dead-end jobs, and they were just like working in a cafe or working in Selfridge's department store on this very street, that I just didn't want to do anything like that. And I couldn't wake up in the morning and go into a job, and I felt I could express myself and be myself playing music if I worked hard enough at it.
How did you get your first paid concert?
I think my very first paid concert was as a teenager near where my parents lived. I think they gave me some money, I can't remember. But I was down in London, and I'd been given a few kind of little wine bar gigs, and then suddenly somebody said, do you want to go and play a party, and we'll pay you £100, and you're going to go to a ranch which is just north of London, and it was Stanley Kubrick, the film director's ranch. And that was the first time that I realised I only had to put on a suit and go somewhere and play. It was kind of like jazz music I was playing in the background, and I could be at a nice party and be given canapes and meet a world famous film director and just do what I enjoyed doing, which was play music. And in those days £100 was quite good. Nowadays, you can't do anything with £100. Can't even go to McDonald's for that. No, you can't.
When you work on a new song.
Yes.
How do you do it?
It takes me it's very quick to get the idea of a song.
Mm-hmm.
But you mean like a song, a style by another musician?
No, it's both.
Okay.
An original song
Yeah.
that you compose
Yeah.
yourself, or on the second hand, a song like Going to the Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
Where you say, "Oh, I like this song. I would like to add it to my repertoire."
Mm-hmm.
So how are you gonna do it?
It's what I've always done is a lot of listening. You know, I would hear it, I would try it out and just experiment with what I already know from my ears, and then I would usually come up against a barrier and go, that lick doesn't sound right, that riff doesn't sound right, and that's when you go into listening and listen, stop, listen, stop, and I would do that for a long time until I could make the rhythm fit. And when I've been learning difficult New Orleans rhythms like James Booker rhythms, say with one hand, I would play them slowly for a long time, you know, really slowly, like, you know.
What do you do when you practice on a song and at one point you get stuck and you don't know how to get over it? What do you do?
Yeah, well, there were some James Booker sounds that really made me get stuck. And I came to to talk about it in real piano terms, I try to play what I'm hearing slowly, and then I try to play faster than I actually can play it. And then I find that I will probably find something similar to what that player did, because we all move our hands, you know, in kind of similar way. So if he's going to go, then if I actually play faster, then I go, oh yeah, he probably did that. But if I'm going very slowly and very analytical, then I might not find that so easily. There's always a solution, like all Zen moments in life, you know. If you just stop and breathe and then think and listen, you know, there's always a, you know, so if you don't play the exact same notes that Booker played, but you hear it and it sounds as close as you can get, then that's what I would do. And when it comes to creative blocking, you know, trying to write a song, sometimes a song will take 8 years to write because I can't think how to finish it.
Do you have the lyrics first or the melody?
I have the melody and the idea of the lyrics first.
Okay.
Yeah, it's always just a little kind of seed.
And I find that very funny, you know, because so many of us have the lyrics first.
Okay.
And then try to find a melody that fits the lyrics. And so others like you have the melody first,
Often.
and then
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so I think
often.
this is so cool, because the result is always great. And if the result is not great, we don't play it.
Yeah, that's no, but I find that is so important. If it doesn't feel right, it's not ready.
Here we go.
Yeah, it's not ready. You can't. And my wife is a painter. She's the same. You know.
Okay.
I'll look at her work and I go, that looks great, and she's like,
No.
nope. She just can't go there. You know, she can't allow it.
A very important question. How would you describe groove?
Ooh. You know, like, again, the idea of groove has got to be a feeling. You know, it really does, because you can technically describe a groove, you know, and you can say where the. But if you don't hear it, and then part of you is just going, oh yes, you know, then it is not grooving. You know, it's only when you hear something and it just sort of makes you happy, you know, it makes you transported, then you're in a groove. And I do think that is very important, you know, musical stuff, you know, to find a groove, you know. Yeah, and it has to be, I think most grooves are not super tight, but they're kind of like a flow, you know.
Okay. That's great. Thanks a lot.
All right, my pleasure.
Saturday morning,